It was an ordinary day for Dr. Marie Carter. She was sitting in her office at the Earthquake Research Center, located deep in the mountains. The center was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers and the occasional clatter of keyboards. The world outside looked peaceful, but Marie's mind was always focused on the planet beneath her feet. Earth's tectonic plates had always fascinated her. She had dedicated her life to studying the way they moved and shifted, causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. But what happened that day changed everything she knew about her planet. Suddenly, an alarm blared, breaking the silence in the research center. The red lights flashed urgently, and Marie jumped up from her chair. She rushed toward the central control room, where her team was already gathered around the main screen. The giant monitor displayed a map of the world, with a bright red dot flashing on it. "What's happening?" Marie asked, her voice tense. She had never seen such an intense warning before. One of her colleagues, Tom, quickly explained. "A massive earthquake just hit the Pacific Ocean, near the Mariana Trench. It's off the charts, bigger than anything we've seen in years." Marie's eyes widened in surprise. The Mariana Trench was the deepest part of the ocean, and it was known for its seismic activity, but nothing this strong had ever been recorded before. She leaned over the control panel and typed quickly, pulling up more data. "Magnitude 9.7, she whispered, her heart racing. "That's impossible." As Marie and her team watched in shock, the earthquake data continued to stream in. The tremors weren't just limited to the ocean floor. The shock waves were spreading, reaching across the continents. Small aftershocks began to appear in different parts of the world: Japan, California, Chile. It was as if the entire planet was shaking. "This isn't normal," Marie said, shaking her head. "Something's not right. Earthquakes don't spread like this." Tom frowned, staring at the data. "Do you think it's a chain reaction? One fault line triggering another?" Marie didn't answer immediately. She was deep in thought, her fingers tapping nervously on the desk. "Maybe, but even if it's a chain reaction, it shouldn't be this coordinated." It's almost like she stopped herself, not wanting to sound foolish in front of her team. "Like what?" Tom asked, raising an eyebrow. Marie hesitated, then continued, "Like something is controlling it." Her words hung in the air for a moment. The team exchanged uneasy glances. No one wanted to say it out loud, but they all felt it. This earthquake wasn't like anything they had seen before. Before anyone could respond, the main screen flickered and a new alert appeared. This time, it wasn't from Earth. It was a signal from a satellite orbiting the planet. The satellite had detected an unknown object entering Earth's atmosphere. "What is that?" Marie asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The satellite image zoomed in on the object. It was a small metallic probe, moving swiftly through the sky. The probe looked alien, nothing like the technology humans had ever created. It glowed with an eerie blue light as it descended toward the Pacific Ocean, directly over the Mariana Trench. Tom's eyes widened in shock. "Is that an alien ship?" Marie's mind raced. "It's a probe. It must be studying the earthquake." She quickly scanned the satellite data, trying to make sense of what was happening. Before she could figure out more, the probe suddenly vanished. One moment it was there, and the next it disappeared into the ocean depths. The room fell silent again, everyone too stunned to speak. Marie knew they had just witnessed something extraordinary, but she didn't have time to process it. Her focus quickly returned to the earthquake. The tremors were growing stronger, and she could see the pattern more clearly now. The tectonic plates were moving in perfect sync, almost as if they were being guided by an unseen force. "This isn't natural," Marie said, her voice firm. "Something is controlling the tectonic plates." Tom looked at her in disbelief. "What are you saying? That the Earth is alive?" "No," Marie replied, shaking her head. "Not alive, but maybe it's been programmed. It's acting like a defense system." Her words sounded crazy, but deep down, Marie knew she was right. The Earth's core, the shifting tectonic plates, the sudden earthquake, it all pointed to one thing. Something or someone had designed the planet's inner workings to respond to a threat. But what kind of threat? And why now? As if on cue, another alert flashed on the screen. This time, it wasn't just a warning about earthquakes. It was a new signal, coming from deep underground beneath the Mariana Trench. The research center's sensors had picked up strange, rhythmic vibrations, almost like a pulse. "What is that?" Tom asked, leaning closer to the screen. Marie's heart raced as she studied the signal. It was too regular to be random. The vibrations seemed to match the pattern of the earthquakes, as if they were part of the same system. "It's coming from deep inside the Earth," Marie said. "Whatever is causing these earthquakes is down there." Tom's face went pale. "Are you saying the Earth has a defense system hidden underground? Like a weapon?" Marie nodded slowly. "I think so. And it's responding to something or someone." The room fell silent again, but this time it wasn't out of shock. It was out of fear. The implications of Marie's discovery were enormous. If Earth really did have a defense system, it meant that the planet was far more complex and far more dangerous than anyone had ever imagined. "We need to find out what's going on," Marie said, her voice filled with determination. "If the Earth is defending itself, there must be a reason. And we need to figure it out before it's too late." Her team nodded, still processing the incredible discovery. But there was no time to waste. The earthquakes were growing stronger, and the strange pulse from beneath the Mariana Trench was getting louder. Something was happening deep within the Earth, and whatever it was only just beginning. Marie grabbed her tablet and began typing quickly, sending the data to the government. They needed to know what was happening, and they needed to act fast. The fate of the planet could depend on it. She sent the message. Marie couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much bigger. The Earth was alive in a way no one had ever imagined, and it was ready to defend itself from whatever threat was coming. But who or what was the real enemy? The ground underfoot was shaking. It wasn't like a normal earthquake where everything rattled and cracked. This was different. The tremors felt controlled, almost as if they were moving with purpose. Dr. Marie Carter stood outside the research center, looking out at the horizon. The mountains around her seemed to sway gently, but nothing was falling apart. Buildings were stable, and there was no panic in the city below. Yet the feeling in her gut told her something was very, very wrong. Tom, her colleague, came running up beside her, out of breath. "Marie, you need to see this," he said, holding up his tablet. On the screen were live seismic readings. The waves moved across the map in strange patterns. Instead of the usual chaotic tremors, they formed shaped circles, lines, almost like designs being drawn by an invisible hand beneath the Earth. Marie frowned as she stared at the screen. "That's impossible," she said. "Earthquakes don't create patterns like that." "I know," Tom said, his voice shaking slightly. "But look at the aftershocks. They're not random either. They're all following the same lines, as if they're part of something bigger." The tremors continued, steady and powerful, but not destructive. It was as if the Earth itself was showing its strength without causing harm. But why? Marie's mind raced with questions. Was this the defense system she had theorized earlier? Could it be that the planet was somehow protecting itself from a threat they couldn't see yet? She quickly made her way back inside the research center, where the rest of her team was gathered around the main screen. Everyone was focused on the data, trying to understand what was happening. The map of the world was covered in red and yellow lines, showing the paths of the earthquakes that were now spreading globally. "Has anyone figured out a pattern?" Marie asked as she entered. One of the analysts, a young woman named Sarah, looked up from her computer. "We've been trying to decode it. The tremors are happening in intervals, and they seem to be forming a grid. It's almost like a map." Marie's eyes widened. "A map of what?" "We don't know yet," Sarah admitted, "but we think it's connected to the tectonic plates. It's as if the Earth is mapping out its own fault lines." The idea seemed absurd, but Marie knew there was no other explanation. The Earth was revealing something it had hidden deep within its crust for millions of years. As the team worked, another alert flashed on the screen. It was a new signal from the Mariana Trench, the same place where they had detected the strange alien probe earlier. This time, the signal was stronger, and it wasn't just coming from the ocean floor. It was rising. "Marie, look at this!" Tom pointed at the screen, his voice filled with excitement and fear. "The signal is moving upward." Whatever's down there is coming to the surface. Marie felt a chill run down her spine. The pulse they had detected earlier wasn't just a vibration. It was an energy source, something ancient and powerful, and it was waking up. "We need to send a team out there," she said quickly. "We have to find out what's causing it." Tom hesitated. "Do you really think it's safe to go near the trench right now?" "We don't know what we're dealing with." Marie nodded. "I know. But we can't just sit here and watch. We need answers." She picked up the phone and made the call to the military. They needed support, ships, and submarines to reach the trench. If the Earth was reacting to something, they had to find out what it was before the situation got worse. As they waited for a response, the tremors outside grew stronger. The ground still wasn't breaking, but the intensity of the shaking was increasing. It was as if the Earth was gathering its strength, preparing for something big. Tom turned to Marie. "Do you think this has anything to do with the probe? What if the Earth is responding to an alien threat?" Marie had considered that possibility, but she wasn't sure. "It's possible," she said slowly. "But I think it's more than that. The Earth's been holding this power for millions of years. I don't think it's just reacting to the probe. I think this is a system that's always been in place, waiting for a reason to activate." As if on cue, the room filled with the sound of another alert. This time, it wasn't just from the Mariana Trench. The new signal was coming from deep within the Earth's core, directly under the African continent. Marie rushed to the screen to see the data. "It's happening all over the world," she said, her voice filled with awe. "These signals are coming from the deepest parts of the Earth. It's like the planet is waking up." Tom stared at the screen, disbelief written on his face. "Waking up? What do you mean?" Marie turned to him, her eyes serious. "I think the Earth has always had this power. It's been dormant, hidden beneath the tectonic plates. But now, something's triggered it, and it's preparing to defend itself." Tom swallowed hard. Defend itself from what? Marie didn't answer right away. She didn't know for sure. But deep down, she had a feeling that whatever was coming, it was bigger than anything they had ever imagined. Suddenly, the main screen flickered, and a new image appeared. It was a live feed from the Mariana Trench. The cameras on the deep-sea submersibles had captured something rising from the ocean floor, something enormous. The object was metallic, its surface covered in strange symbols and glowing lines. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, both alien and ancient at the same time. As it rose higher, the tremors on land grew even stronger, almost as if the Earth was responding to its presence. Marie's heart raced as she watched the screen. This was it. The Earth's hidden power was coming to the surface, and whatever was happening down there in the trench was only the beginning. "We need to get out there," she said, her voice urgent. Now, the military response came through just as she spoke. A fleet of ships and submarines was already being dispatched to the Pacific. Marie grabbed her gear and headed for the door, knowing that this discovery would change everything they knew about their planet and about themselves. As she left the research center, the ground trembled beneath her feet once more, a reminder that the Earth's hidden power was now awake, and that the real battle was about to begin. The air was thick with heat as the ground shook beneath their feet. Dr. Marie Carter stood on the edge of the volcanic crater, staring down into the fiery abyss below. Lava bubbled and churned, glowing red-hot, sending waves of heat into the air. It was a sight both terrifying and awe-inspiring. But Marie wasn't here for the view. She was here because this volcano and others like it around the world had started to show signs of something far more dangerous than just an eruption. Next to her, Tom wiped sweat from his brow, squinting against the intense light. "I can't believe we're standing this close to an active volcano," he muttered. "Are we sure it's safe?" Marie shook her head, her eyes fixed on the molten rock below. "It's not about being safe, Tom. It's about understanding what's happening." She pointed down into the crater. "This isn't just any volcanic activity. The seismic readings are off the charts, and the pattern is, well, it's unnatural." Tom frowned. "Unnatural? How?" Marie handed him her tablet, showing the data she'd been collecting. The tremors coming from the volcano weren't random. They formed rhythmic waves, like pulses of energy. and they were in sync with other volcanoes around the world. It was as if they were all connected, part of a larger system. "This isn't just an eruption waiting to happen," Marie said, her voice tense. "The Earth is using its volcanoes for something. They're becoming weapons." Tom stared at her in disbelief. "Weapons? You're saying the planet is preparing for war?" Marie nodded slowly. "I think so. It's all connected, those strange signals from the Mariana Trench, the tectonic activity we've been monitoring. And now this. The Earth's defense system is activating, and the volcanoes are." The idea was almost too incredible to believe, but the evidence was right in front of them. Across the globe, dormant volcanoes were waking up, but instead of erupting violently, they seemed to be building pressure, storing energy. Something was triggering them, and Marie feared they were about to witness the next stage of Earth's mysterious defense. Suddenly, her radio crackled to life. "Dr. Carter, this is Control. We have reports of increased volcanic activity along the Pacific Ring of Fire. The volcanoes are showing the same patterns as the one you're observing. It's spreading." Marie's heart skipped a beat. "How many volcanoes?" "Dozens," came the reply. "And it's accelerating. We need to evacuate the area immediately." Tom glanced at Marie, his face pale. "What do we do now?" Marie took a deep breath. "We need to understand why this is happening before we can stop it. The Earth isn't just randomly activating its volcanoes. There's a reason, and we need to find out what it is." Together, they quickly packed up their equipment and headed back to the research center. The drive through the rough terrain was tense, with every shake of the ground reminding them that the volcano could erupt at any moment. But Marie couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was at play, something that went beyond natural disasters. Back at the research center, the team was already in a frenzy, monitoring the global situation. Maps of the Pacific Ring of Fire, a region known for its intense volcanic and earthquake activity, were lit up with red dots, each one representing a volcano that had recently become active. Sarah, one of the lead analysts, rushed over to Marie. "We've been tracking the volcanic activity, and it's not just the Pacific. Volcanoes in Iceland, Italy, and even under Antarctica are showing signs of activation." Marie stared at the screen. "This isn't a coincidence. The Earth is coordinating its volcanic activity." "But why?" Tom stepped forward, looking grim. "We've been getting more signals from deep beneath the Earth's crust, just like the ones we picked up in the Mariana Trench. Whatever is causing this, it's coming from below." Marie nodded. "The planet is reacting to something. We need to find the source of these signals." As the team worked, another alert flashed on the screen. This one was from the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii, one of the most active in the world. But instead of an eruption, it was emitting massive plumes of ash and energy, more than usual. "Look at the energy output," Sarah said, pointing to the data. "It's like the volcano is releasing controlled bursts, not random eruptions." Marie's mind raced. Controlled bursts. It's releasing energy on purpose. But why? Suddenly, the ground shook violently, causing everyone to grab onto their desks. The lights flickered and equipment rattled as the tremor passed. The volcanoes were waking up, and time was running out. "We need to get a closer look at the energy signatures coming from these volcanoes," Marie said urgently. "Send drones to the hot zones. We need more data." Within minutes, drones equipped with sensors were being launched toward the most active volcanoes around the world. As they flew over the craters, they picked up readings of immense heat and electromagnetic energy, far more than what was expected from normal volcanic activity. "It's like the Earth is charging up," Tom said, watching the feed from one of the drones. "The volcanoes are storing energy, but for what?" Marie's eyes widened as a thought struck her. The planet isn't just defending itself, it's preparing for a counterattack. The volcanoes are its weapons. The realization sent a chill through the room. The Earth, with all its natural forces, was gearing up for a fight. But who or what was it fighting? Suddenly, one of the screens flickered with new data. It was a signal from deep beneath the surface, directly under Yellowstone, one of the most powerful volcanic systems on Earth. The readings were off the charts. Marie's voice was barely a whisper. "It's starting." The energy levels spiked, and the ground trembled again, more violently this time. The drone's cameras captured the scene as lava began to churn within the volcanoes, but instead of erupting outward, the molten rock seemed to be pulled inward, creating a concentrated core of energy. "It's building power," Tom said, his voice filled with awe and fear. "The volcanoes are going to release all that energy at once." Marie's mind raced. If the Earth was using its volcanoes as weapons, then this was just the beginning. The planet was preparing for a massive, coordinated strike, a volcanic onslaught that could reshape the world. "We need to warn the governments," Marie said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "The Earth is readying its most powerful weapon, and we have no idea what's coming next."